Hello everyone, this is Champion Man. Damn it, I can't see a thing in this.
You know, it's not a coincidence that the vast majority of people that comprise the SJW ranks that we fight on a day-to-day basis are an upper middle class and upper class background. Although, there are of course the odd plebs that permeate the ranks, but by and large these are, ironically, mostly very privileged people who come from a lot of families who are worth a lot of money. But why is it, I hear you ask, not such a coincidence that these people are amongst the most privileged in our Western society? Well, it's simple really. For a very basic reason, they would have to be rich in order to have the free time necessary to stay up all day and all night on Twitter 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every month and every year, tweeting about social justice and feminism. A normal, working class person or lower middle class person simply does not have the time necessary to even go on Twitter for as long as these people do. In essence, surviving and jobs are the plebs' lives, while Twitter, Tumblr and social justice are these rich SJWs. Let's not forget that the vast majority of university students, irrespective of race, it doesn't matter at all, at least in terms of economics, do come from these backgrounds and can afford to go to these prestigious schools. Most people would probably be content with their A-levels or go to a smaller, less established university where the fees are cheaper. Whether or not they would be exposed to social justice is an entirely different question, but you see my point. And really, it is these rich, entitled, narcissistic twats that have absolutely poisoned the left and what it means to be a member of left-wing ideologies. Just take the most famous left-wing ideologies: socialism, Marxism, liberalism, progressivism. All have suffered from these rich arseholes, literally, and I hate to use that language, appropriated these ideologies for their own interests, and the interests of their own, namely, the lower classes. I mean, what exactly are most of these people in these ideologies nowadays for? They're certainly not for smashing the system. They are the system, if they're Marxists or socialists. I mean, why fight against yourself? Why would you undermine your own power for a bunch of plebs on the street you never met, nor would give the time of day? Mainly because they didn't tip their cap once, and that triggered you horribly. Oh no, it's not for the good of the working poor that these people fight for. Class is hardly ever mentioned by these people in its actual proper meaning and context. But, you know, don't mind me, what of liberalism and progressivism? Well, they certainly do not stand for basic liberal ideas as freedom of speech and anti-censorship. Quite the opposite, in fact. They are against freedom of speech and are pro-censorship. Of course they say they are, and then they use that word, but. And then you know straight away that they are bullshitting you. I mean, these are the same people who will attack people for saying, I'm not racist, but, I'm not conservative, but. The next time they say that, tell them to stop projecting. But what of progressivism? They do not stand for equality, despite the endless droning that feminism is for equality, social justice for the equality of everyone. I mean, why do feminists argue paying men less to end the mythical wage gap, or advocating sending men to gulags? Because the world would be so much better if it weren't such a sausage fest. No, they're in it for power, money, and their own self-interests. Of course, I'm not saying they all are. There are quite a lot of brainwashed, useful idiots who think they're genuinely fighting for a good cause, but most... Nah, not at all. I mean, this is just a classic case of the rich corporate elite destroying and bastardising something that actually used to mean something. We have gone from the likes of H.G. Wells, Clement Attlee, Tony Benn, etc. to these cunts. I mean, yes, you can argue Tony Benn was a champagne socialist if you dislike him, but at least he cared and was honest about his politics. I mean, these people are basically standard rich conservative types. I mean, just look at their points. The horseshoe theory is just so obvious. Who want to rebel against their parents or have found something that they can use for popularity and power and to make money with. And it has paid off massively. We now live in the world where the likes of Bahar Mustafa can wear a mass-produced t-shirt made in some far-off land by virtual slave labour, calling for an anarcho-communist revolution. She's not fucking communist. She's a fucking hipster. If she truly cared, she would not be banning white people and men from diversity meetings. This is also a time where we have Anita Sarkeesian making $160,000 by playing on hundreds of beta male feelings because of some nasty emails she received. And let's not forget about those bloody Che Guevara shirts and Marxist socialist fashion items. Like many good corporate classes, These rich parasites have turned what was once an entire political spectrum, supposedly for the rights of the people, and to help those downtrodden, into a fucking $1 million marketing project. Erin Pitsey was right. There is money to be made in feminism and the oppression of women and minorities. Now, I suppose I exaggerated an entire political spectrum there, and that is true. It wasn't the entire spectrum of the left. There's still a few old school types, myself included, who have remained unharmed by the poison Kool-Aid we were served, relatively speaking. I mean, as Bane666 once said, we've all drank it to some extent. But it feels like we are a minority. Almost every university is swamped by zombie-like SJWs, like the radical right of the late 60s and 70s have appropriated alternative culture and left-wing culture politics for their own good. To make them look cool, palatable, that they are totes for equality and all the shebang. I'm going to terribly paraphrase an old saying, but fascism is not going to come goose-stepping through the parliaments of the world, but in your own uniform and a smile. In fact, we can simply let good old Captain Picard explain it. Indeed. So what do we do? How do we reclaim the left? The answer is, I don't know. I'm just one pissed off left-winger who feels betrayed. I mean, what do we do? Purge them? That would be stooping to their level. Debate them? Their best minds refuse to debate, and despite our pushback alongside some unlikely allies, it seems the war is not over yet, and that they appear to be growing stronger. We could point out the stupidity of their arguments and the logical inconsistencies that they always have, but in the end, most people will be neutral, and could very well just not care about all this. Culture wars seem to be very subtle in their nature. So I guess this video has drummed up more questions than answers. It was really just me venting about rich people, as I like to do. So until next time, see you all later.